Lonely, unsent tweets.
Is that a Twitch? Is that a Twitter feed? Lonely unsent tweets?
It should be.
All right, we're live.
You're live.
Yep, and my
I
iPad's come to life, so people are doing things on the old Twitter. Right.
My phone is going insane with notifications. Epic Geeks just went live. So-and-so favorited this tweet.
God, my Mac's going to explode. Ah! Right. Okay, so all good on the... just check the intro. I'm just going to... I'm not going to make the intro too complicated. Mm-hmm.
If you want it to reach more people other than a direct reply to me, you gotta put a period in front of that.
Oh, son of a donkey love. Yeah, I meant to do that. Delete that tweet.
Take a lesson from the proverbial queen of Twitter, I swear.
At least it went on the right account.
Don't look at how many tweets I have.
Proceed to look at how many tweets you have.
And discuss for first 10 minutes of show.
I'm not addicted to Twitter at all.
Everyone good to go then?
Yes.
Okay.
Like butter.
What?
Well, take it away, Britza.
Oh my god, the pressure's back on. Right, I'll try and make it short because I fluffed it last time, didn't I? Okay, I'm just going to put that there because I end up reading all sorts. Ignore what I'm putting right at the top. It's me just summing up things.
So you know what to say.
Yeah, because I'm an idiot.
Welcome to the live stream where we're not actually prepared.
Welcome to the live stream. We haven't actually started yet. It's the pre-show.
Pre-show, yeah, pre-show. Why don't I have pre-show music right now?
Why do we have shirts on? It's the pre-show. Much too formal for a pre-show.
Shirts on. Well, some of us have boobs, so can't really do that.
Yeah.
Censorship.
I can't really do that.
Right.
Alright, now we're actually starting the show.
Yep. Going from boobs to intro. Let's do this. Here we go. Right. Charlie, you good with the sounders?
Yep.
Everyone else ready? Let's do this. In honors. No, let's not count in Spanish. That'll make things confusing. Here we go. Who's the drop? Where's the drop?
I could start humming the Jeopardy theme if it makes you feel better.
Well, usually that's a sign that things are about to catch fire in my flat.
2, 1.
Greetings, geeks, and welcome to the show. This week, we are joined by the LoreCraft Podcast. We'll be talking about Mercenary mode, method get world first, and do factions matter anymore? All of that and more on this week's Geeks of Azeroth.
Geeks.
About geeks.
For geeks.
Welcome to Geeks of Azeroth.
Hello, welcome to the show. My name's Tarley, and with me, as always, we've got Zool and Britza. But this week, second week in a row, we have guests. And we have two guests with us this week. We've got, I'm going to mispronounce your names so terribly, but here we go. We've got Machik,
close enough.
Machik, and Yamino.
Yamino.
Like domino, but Yamino.
Well, Yami.
Okay. Hi, guys.
Hello.
These guys are joining us from the LoreCraft Podcast, and we'll get into what that is all about later on in the show. But right now, we'll just do a little introduction. How's everybody been in Azeroth? We'll start with you, Zool.
Oh, all right. Yes. I have, once again, 2 weeks in a row, I've actually have been in Azeroth.
That's improvement.
And this week, I've actually done quite a lot, and actually kind of thanks to the guests that we have, because when I knew we were going to have them, I went back and listened to some of their show. And I mean, the title of their show gives away a little bit what they talk about. It's the LoreCraft Podcast. So I went back to see if they had a troll episode, because I love trolls, and they did. And I listened to that episode, and it got me excited to go back and actually finish getting my original main from last expansion up to level 100, my troll druid.
Woo!
So I have 2 100s now.
It's about time.
So yeah, I got him to level 100, and I've been working on the legendary quest, did the time walking stuff, and just getting my eye level up and all that kind of stuff.
Cool. What about you, Britza?
A little bit quieter. No new hundreds for me. I'm still sticking around the 3. I can't push myself anymore. But in game, just really been focusing on getting those 300s through the first stages of the legendary quest. So that was a bit of a push. I didn't realise how sort of boring those stages could be on the 3rd run. But the main thing is that I've got the shipyard set up, and I can now get the stones through those. So I'm happily ticking through those. So anything just to not do Heimel, really. But the other reason I haven't been doing so much in game is because, as I mentioned before the show, got my new desktop on the way. So been sort of prepping for all of that. So I should hopefully be able to run WoW in anything other than low graphics. So I will see shadows.
You will
and
be
hopefully
able
other
to
people.
witness that Belf booty.
Yes, indeed. That's exactly what it's about. I've spent all this money for the Belf booty.
We know you have. Now, what about our guests? How have you guys been spending your time in Azeroth lately?
I'll let Yamino, you go ahead first.
Fine. I've been just mostly leveling alts, gearing up PvP-wise on my main, my Blood Elf Hunter, Yamino. Been gearing her up with guildies and whatnot, and my mage hit level 100 this morning, actually. I've got now 1 Night Elf Druid at 100, Blood Elf Hunter at 100, Troll Shaman at 100, and then Blood Elf Paladin at 100, and Blood Elf Mage at 100. There's a pattern.
No more hundreds than me!
Someone had to, Tarley. Someone.
But yeah. Not much else. No luck in the Mountain, Endeavor, or Warglaves. QQ.
Oh, teardrop. I've actually gotten back into PvE, which for anybody that's played with me for the past 3 or 4 years knows that I haven't touched PvE since I was a raid leader in Wrath. And this weekend has been thrilling for me, going back and doing time-walking dungeons in Wrath. It's been brilliant. So, and then leveling, I've got a couple of Alliance tunes, because LoreCraft Podcast is heavily Horde right now. And I was like, we need to level some Alliance tunes. So I've got a couple of Alliance tunes I've been leveling on the Moonguard server.
Ooh, the best.
It's not safe over there.
I have one character on Moonguard, and they specifically sit in the inn at Goldshire.
Of course.
Oh god. You're contributing to the bad
And whenever you need
stereotype.
to hurt your brain, you just log in.
Yeah.
He doesn't just attend there, though. He works there. That's the issue.
Yeah, I'm one of the innkeepers.
Is that what they call them?
But yeah, that's all I've been doing, rocking and rolling.
Awesome.
Sorry, I got a bit
about you,
distracted
Charlie?
by the conversation going on in our Twitch chat. It's a bit odd.
It got onto Moonguard. It was bound to get a little bit odd.
Right. All right,
What about you, Tarley?
Well, I kind of, took a break from playing StarCraft all the time and to play WoW some more. I've been PvPing, and my Hunter is so much fun to play, so I've just been doing that a lot in Battlegrounds. And when they did the weekend skirmish event, that was really fun. Just queuing up, doing arenas with random people, because Hunters are just so overpowered.
Yep.
If you encountered a team that was double Hunter, marksman, BM, and a frost DK, I'm sorry, I may have trucked your face.
I was just doing 2s the whole time.
Double DK has been absolutely smashing the arena lately. I've noticed a number of people have just been getting steamrolled.
Yeah.
It just kind of shows you the state of the PvP game right now.
DK and hunters all the way.
But we ranted on that enough last week about the state of the game, so it probably won't start again. So, without further ado, we'll move into our first topic of the show, News of the Week.
Hey, we recording? Yeah? Okay.
News of the Week.
That's right, it's time for News of the Week, and we have some actual news to talk about this week. several items of news, which is very cool. And we're going to start off with Mercenary mode has been announced for World of Warcraft, coming with patch 6.2.1, something like that. And this is causing a bit of controversy and a bit of love. Like it's like split down the middle whether people like this or not. But what Mercenary mode is it basically allows you to queue up as either faction for PvP. What do we think about this?
I think the silence was rather telling.
The war chief is not happy.
That was a great photo you posted. We need to get it up on the stream if we can.
Where did you post that?
I guess that goes straight to our guests.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys think about having Mercenary mode and having this option to queue as the other faction? Because my issue is I'm really kind of for it. Whilst it makes sense to reduce queue times, I don't know if it really sits well in a sort of PvP format. So I don't know what you guys think about whether it's better for the game, but not as good for the franchise, potentially.
Well, it's good for evening out servers, but other than that, I think it's just going to create problems. RP-wise, I think it's freaking awesome. I mean, how many times I've talked to people who would love it if they could kill their own faction as part of their roleplay, or just because you know somebody was griefing an RP event. Okay, I'm gonna go mercenary mode and just whoop your butt. But yeah, I mean, because the big thing that I was reading was, what about the Alliance humans, who they don't get they never purchase a PvP trinket because the medallion, because they don't need it. They have their racial. And so they're going to get switched over to Orc. Won't have their racial, won't have their trinket. Boom, you've got problems right there.
Oh, is that how it works? It actually changes your race.
Yeah, it changes your race
and you lose your
racials. Yep.
So I don't see a lot of Alliance players actually queuing Horde then, even though Alliance players have like 15-minute battleground queues when a Horde has like 30 seconds.
Exactly.
I feel like this is kind of a band-aid solution on Blizzard's end to try and fix queue times, but it doesn't seem to solve all that much, like you said.
That's what I look at it like too, and then also from I'm a casual PvPer, but even then I was born and raised on a PvP server, so and that's all I did in Wrath was PvP. But I look at this and I'm like, no, red equals dead. I don't want you joining my side so you can help me kill your friends.
Yeah.
I think
if I want to kill same faction, I'll go to the Dark Moon Arena or to Gurabashi.
That's it. I think though that one of the things that's always just sat a little bit weird with me is that I can see why you'd have, like in the lore background, humans, or like any faction potentially working with the others, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't get there's a real background. It just seems, like you said, Tarley, that it's a very thinly veiled attempt to say, well, let's just get rid of factions, really, in a sense. But saying that, I wonder if as well whether it's actually a good opportunity for people to try out the other faction, really. I mean, if I appreciate Horde do have a shorter queue time. I mean, the queue time on my Blood Elf Priest is ridiculously short. It makes PvP actually quite enjoyable because you can just get in and out so quickly. But it makes me wonder whether people who have played Alliance perhaps a lot of the time will try out the Horde side and then think, actually, no, there's something I could get used to. So, whether they do a character swap or whether they create a new character, it might be a good way just to try out.
Yeah.
I never thought of that, but yeah.
That's a very good point. Good point, Ritza.
But at the same time, it doesn't fit.
Anything else on this before we move on to the next news? I mean, we will be discussing the impacts of this further on down the show. So just anything else about this quick update before we move on?
Considering the amount of PvP I do, which is none.
Do we think, though, this would work potentially with other styles of content?
Like Mercenary Dungeons?
Yeah.
I think that's something for our discussion.
Oh, yeah. We'll cover that a bit later.
Yeah, because, I think...
I guess one thing I would like to see different about Mercenary mode is if you just put on, like, one of those Halloween masks of a different race, but it kept your racials and kept everything about, like, your class.
That would be hilarious.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
They'll never recognize me. Why does that gnome have troll tusks, and why is he so tall?
But
yeah,
I
no.
swear.
That was one of the things that they originally, people were originally thinking was it was just you were putting on a Halloween mask, but Lore went on the forums and actually said, no, you change races.
It's a bit odd.
What about the actual... Is everything else the same? Like, for example, I can't now get the Horde exclusive honor mounts, even if I'm constantly playing as Horde, right?
The honor you earn is still your faction's honor.
Mm-hmm.
It's just who you're beating up, really.
Yeah.
And it only... Mercenary mode only activates for your faction if there's not enough on the other side queuing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not something you can just do whenever you want. It looks at the queues and goes, oh, well, there's a lot of Horde but no Alliance, so we'll let some Horde activate Mercenary mode if they want to.
It's definitely an interesting system. All right, so moving on to the next bit of news. Finally, 3 resets. 472 wipes later. Method got the world first kill of Deathwing.
Wrong X-Pack.
You finally got him?
Just now?
No, but really, Method was the first to kill Archimonde, which was... I don't know, I think I kind of called that last week, guys. I mean, maybe...
I think we all just kind of...
Well, I was on Midwinter, so...
It's gonna be Method.
You lose, Britza.
I lose. Damn you, Midwinter.
And of course, we had Paragon coming in a close second, but nobody else has yet to kill him. He must be a rather difficult boss. So before we talk about it a little bit, we can actually show you their reaction to it.
There's some language in the video.
Yeah,
there is. Yeah, watch out. I can't edit all of this out.
just, it's not even showing, it's just listening, so here we go.
Come on! Come on! Yeah!
It reminds me of that scene from Star Wars, and I'm just wanting to say, oh, R2, they're dying! They're dying, we went fast enough.
I wonder, like, whether you could dub that audio over other things, like when they do announcements at BlizzCon, like really trivial things, and people will just like stick that audio.
Play that. That would be amazing.
Like, guess what? We've got a brand new Murloc pen. Then you just play that. Oh dear. But I mean, God Almighty, I cannot imagine. What I mean, you hear it, but what a relief that must be after 472 wipes, or 472 wipes. That's insane. 3 weeks as well. I think it's the first race ever to go into 3 weeks.
Well, since Rodden.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it was Sko or somebody was saying that like they took the 2 weeks off from work, everybody, and then the 2 weeks ended, so they had to switch over to where they were doing it in the evenings now.
Yeah.
So they had limited time.
I can't imagine what it would be like to be a world first raider. I mean, it just seems like it's very intense work.
Yeah.
I start wanting to slam my head against a wall when I start getting closer and closer to 78 wipes on Flex Garage. Never.
I think it's quite telling as well. Like, I've got a couple of the Method team members on my Twitter account, and when this was going on, they were posting things like, you know, just popping off for the lunch break, and they take pictures of the trolley and what they had, and it's just monster and like chicken pieces. You just sit and think, my God, like living for 3 weeks off of monster and chicken. I mean, it's just gonna, God knows, they probably need a hospital check right now.
That's what I live off of
Yeah.
anyways. There's something wrong with this?
The standard troll player diet.
So, Britza, you put a good point in the notes. Despite all the negativity, can we say that hardcore rating? Can we say that for hardcore rating, Warlords has presented the best challenge so far? And from what I've seen, yes. Apparently, this raid content has been amazing, even though I haven't really touched it at all.
Yeah. From what everyone's been saying, they've been really enjoying the raid content. It's just the rest of the content that people have issues with.
Yamino, Magic, I mean, what do you guys think, raid-wise?
Well, what I'll say is it's nice to see difficult raiding again. I don't know when you guys started playing the game, but I started in Burning Crusade. And, you know, back then you had to do all the attunements. You had to, I mean, it was much tougher to raid back then. So it's nice to see, you know, I'm looking at WoW progress right now, and still only 8 guilds are at 12 at 13, and still only 2 are at 13 at 13. I mean, that's a nice change. Even if I'm not doing it, I like keeping track of it. And though I will say, out of the top 10, only 2 are Alliance, so there's a bit of horde bias in raiding right now.
It's because Blizzard only loves Horde, right?
Yeah. Unless it's PvP.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alliance is usually favored for PvP and Horde for PvE because racials, yo.
Yeah.
I don't care either way. As for the rating, it's I do appreciate the fact that it's harder. Like, I've never done anywhere close to what Method has done, but I did do hardcore progression rating back in Monday. And I can appreciate it being hard. At the same time, though, the harder something is, the less likely the broader community is going to be able to access it. I do understand that through LFR is how they're trying to cater to that.
Tourism mode.
I really liked that quote from, I think it was Ghost did it before he left. Yeah. But I also read somewhere that one of the critiques, I can't remember who said it, it was one of the top guilds. I'm pretty sure it was somebody from Method. But said that heroic mode Archimond is a joke.
Really?
Compared to the other difficulties.
Yeah.
That's insane. I mean, I for one, appreciate I'm never really going to touch Mythic. I haven't got the time to perfect it. I haven't got probably the stamina to just do it. I haven't got that sort of muscle memory and everything like that. Plus, I play Mage, so there's no place for me there anyways. But on top of that, I think this is just another example. Like, going back to what you were saying, Machik, about the fact that only 2 teams have still got that up to 13 of 13, and we're still looking at about 8 more that have 12 out of 13 to go. It just goes to show that this content has not been a walk in the park like people were worrying about when Warlords first came out. You know, looking at the back of, well, Cass is probably a bad example, but particularly Miss. You know, I think there was certainly an impression that the raid content had just been a little bit of a speed bump rather than anything else. So it's just nice to say that to the people who doubted the content, you know, they were wrong, really. And it's put up a good fight. I just wonder whether Paragon regret waiting whilst we're having issues. So
The only major critique I have about raiding is I don't want to raid this raid for 10 months, please.
Wow.
Yes, please, Blizzard.
Fingers
Please, dear
crossed.
God. Oh. I was in Kata. In Kata, I was in Dragon Soul from launch till Miss. In Miss, I was in Siege from launch till Warlords. I don't want to be in.
Yeah.
Yep. 100% agree. Even though I'm not even raiding this expansion.
Yeah, I haven't touched raids at all this expansion other than LFR.
I think it's because of that like people like myself, I haven't got into any of the new Hellfire content.
Because you figure it'll be around for a year.
Exactly. That's it. And I want to get
Yeah.
I want to get all of your opinion. Are we now seeing the fact that we, as players, we're now allowed to say, I'm not jumping into that straight away because I've got 10 months to check it out. I mean, because we heard, what was it? Who was it? Who was on the show on the French podcast? Can't remember the name. Yeah, Corey. When he was talking about the promise to keep content within a year, and he said, we don't like to do that, but I think now we probably are looking at a 10-month wait. But at the same time, there's a lot of content to see. I mean, yeah, it's the same content in 4 different levels.
They may be also just saying, just play Overwatch in the meantime.
Here you go. Play one of our other games.
Yes.
Play Hero. Heroes of the
Yeah.
Hero.
Is Archimonde even a playable character in Blizz?
He should be.
In Heroes.
No.
He
Oh,
should
that'd
be.
be
Well,
awesome.
they're
I
on
think
their
he'll have to be.
they're on their
kick.
Diablo kick right now. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's absolutely incredible achievement. What a method.
Yay, method. All right. Moving on to the next bit of news. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. So I'm sure everybody has seen the posters that have come out from Comic-Con of the Warcraft movie. We did display them last week. They are very cool, but there were some fans who decided to hilariously change them. And we'll start by showing the improved shoulders, very much improved shoulders of King Lane. We'll pull those up here on the screen.
To more accurately reflect how they are in the game.
Yes, they are quite large.
God.
He is certainly compensating now.
So many times on Imgur.
I love it.
So yeah, I would much rather the shoulders be like this because it is so much more reminiscent of the game.
Yeah.
Come on, Duncan Jones, what are you thinking?
Hey, I didn't realize human shoulders in game were like any shoulders in game actually were that big. I've never really noticed it, but now I've gone back and looked in
They're
game. I thought,
huge.
how are we holding on to this stuff on our shoulders?
When you
Steroids.
when you mess around with Model Viewer for like Machinima and that, you actually, if you have a female character that you're dealing with, you have to go in and adjust their shoulder size because it will default to the male human.
Oh my!
So you can have your character with like shoulders that are bigger than their head.
Oh, that's amazing. Why would you ever fix that?
Now we have another edited image here of King Lane. Now this is probably the sequel to Warcraft. This is when King Lane gets to Outland and he starts leveling up, and this is what his gear looks like after that.
This is glorious.
I love it so
Oh
much.
my god.
The links will be in the notes, by the way.
I really hope that the Warcraft 2 movie is like this. Because it's perfect.
Oh my god.
But I was talking to you guys before the show about how a lot of people are saying like he's going to be equipped in his massive, bulky Stormwind style gear for about 10 minutes, and then he'll have to, re-equip something that looks really tacky just because that's the next eye level.
He'll have
There's no way they'll stay.
chainmail pants and plate chest piece, but he hasn't found any plate shoulders, so they're actually leather shoulders. And then a cloth helm.
And then someone's gonna start yelling at him that he's wearing the wrong clothes.
Why are you
Or
wearing intellect
or a leather
gear?
belt.
Oh my
Can you
gosh.
imagine telling people he's misspec'd or something like that?
I'm
And it
sorry,
takes
but
half an
this
hour.
helmet made me smarter.
Why are we fighting the orcs? They're friendly.
Maybe wouldn't that be cool though? If like in the movie, it actually was like based on RPG stats. Like they're trying to work out a stat to push back the orcs. And they're like, quickly ask the mages. They're inspect. Wait, hang on. Let me put my crown of intelligence on.
Oh my god.
Just play off all the tropes.
And then Leroy Jenkins goes running off in the background. Yes, it'd be perfect.
Oh.
You've got
And that's the
someone-
reason they're actually about to broker peace, and then you just hear Leroy Jenkins in the background. Charges across the field.
Well, that's how the whole
Dang it.
massive battle starts in the movie. It's Leroy Jenkins.
Or even better, you see this great titanic battle as King Lane and all the sort of his close soldiers charging in, and then suddenly the orcs just come over the mountain. There's loads of them. They got no chance. And King Lane looks around, thinks, "Here we go. This is going to be a heroic last stand." And notices all his soldiers leaving the raid group, just popping out of
Disappearing.
the battleground.
General so-and-so has left group.
And then he picks into his pocket, looks at his Hearthstone. It's got like a 20-minute cooldown on it still.
Just a countdown clock.
All right, so that last bit of news wasn't really news, but we thought we had to share it with you guys either way because it's pretty enjoyable. But what we're going to move on to now is the discussion of the week.
And then he swooped down from above. I tell ya, you should have seen the size of those wings. I swear, Borondax could hardly cut through a gnome. What's a drenna anyhow? Can I drink it?
Discussion of the week.
That's right, it's time for discussion of the week, where we take a discussion and we week it. No, that didn't work.
That's how it works.
Near enough.
All right, this week's discussion topic, we're talking with this whole change with the mercenary mode and other such things Blizzard's doing in the game. Do factions really matter anymore? Sounds like someone has something to say.
Well, yeah. And to give you an example, I play Alliance and Horde, but I play them on different servers.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, when I'm on one server, I am whatever but that goes back to playing on PvP servers since I started, and for the longest time, you couldn't be both factions without 2 accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And, when it comes to roleplay, there's a matter of pride in your faction, when you're on whatever server it is. When I'm on Emerald Dream, I am Horde through and through. You will hear me talk crap about the Alliance constantly. And when I'm on Moonguard, humans are cool and orcs need to die horrible, painful deaths.
Pretty much.
That's true.
And yeah, I'm the same way as well. My Alliance are on different realms than what my Horde is on. And it's ingrained into me because of that whole thing of, like, back... When did they change that, actually? I think that was, like, the end of Wrath?
Was it that
Where
way?
you could... I'm not sure.
Where you could
it was
what?
either middle or end. Where you could finally have both factions on the same realm.
Of a PvP server.
Oh,
Yeah.
a PvP server, yeah, that was Wrath.
Yeah. So, it's... Like, I am Horde for life. I may have Alliance tunes, but I got a Horde banner that hangs right over my computer. And, like, Loktar Ogar, red equals dead. No. Keep the factions.
Yeah, so I mean, like, starting just with the story, it seems like the Alliance and Horde have been teaming up since at least the end of Wrath. Well, we kind of fought each other on gunships, but ever since the Cataclysm and everything, it's like we've been kind of doing things together a lot.
I think with the story, and that's where I sort of thought about when I was sort of looking at this topic before, a couple of days ago and things like that, is that, you look at how Warlords has ended, and without giving too much away, I won't talk about what actually happens, but, we're certainly not, sticking axe into each other's foreheads at the end of it, however much we'd want to. I mean, even Grom gets off scot-free. So I do wonder whether, story-wise, it's always going to be us teaming up with the other faction. And if that's the case, what's... Because you remember, when Ashram was coming out, and, there were a couple of people talking about, how does Ashram fit in? We're teaming up to fight the Iron Horde, but on some island, some people didn't get the message, missed the memo or the email, and
we must claim this island.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, they do a good background there. Like when you're walking around the sort of home bases, you hear the NPCs talking peace with the Alliance, never. And you think, right, that's where all the old style generals have gone from vanilla. But it makes me think, if we're always going to be going down this line of fighting the greater evil, and particularly if you look at how Kata ended, when we had a Horde hero, even if you were Alliance, you had a Horde hero delivering the final blow. Teaming up with Thrall, centering everything around Thrall and these sort of neutral factions. It makes me wonder whether, there's any point in the Horde and the Alliance fighting it out anymore, if that makes sense. And if that's the case, then what's the point in the factions?
Well, for, story-wise, so... Vanilla Earth threats would have basically been Cthulhu. Alliance and Horde worked together. The whole server had to work together to open the gates of Ahn'Qiraj. Burning Crusade, if memory serves me, there wasn't really that much for anything for Alliance and Horde working together. Wrath, we had to defeat Arthas or we were all gonna die. Kata, it was...
We had to defeat Deathwing or we're all gonna die.
Well, it was defeat Deathwing and also work on the Twilight's Hammer cult as well. But in the same time, you had Wintergrasp in Wrath. You had Barrett Hold, and the whole point of Barrett Hold, to even get in there, you had to decimate a opposite faction. And do PvP. In Miss, again, we have the whole conflict of the Alliance and Horde at a head, and then Draenor WTF. I will note, as somebody that has leveled Alliance to 100 and Horde to 100, you Alliance, when you, start up your garrison, wow, attitude much. We're gonna take this land for the Alliance.
Yeah.
Horde is just let's build some stuff.
Yeah.
Horde is we'll help these guys, and Alliance is, we're going to take it. And I'm like, did you take what happened to you?
We got an appetite for it though. We took Ogrimmar and we're like, yeah, we kind of like taking things. So.
Well, I will note that Khadgar makes the hilarious comment to it's Gazlo or something, and he's summoned. He's like, you brought a goblin. And he's like, the one that built Orgrimmar into the fortress, the impenetrable fortress, as it says, and Khadgar says, wasn't it recently sacked?
I love that line so much. When I
Goblin's details.
When you first build your garrison, Horde, I love that part. It's so awesome. Didn't that just get sacked? He's like,
the clicking of the thing, and where everybody was piling on that little launch stage.
Yes.
The thing with the juggernaut and the blah blah blah. Yeah. I mean, Machik, what do you think in terms of where the factions are now?
Well, it's hard. You can't have a faction win. It's a two-faction game. As soon as you do that, you're gonna get as QQ. But I would like to see it going back to not quite as buddy, and like I said, started Burning Crusade, and I never felt like the Alliance were my friends, ever. You know, we're in the Outlands, and you know, Hellfire Peninsula. Immediately, you're fighting over 3 areas. The 3 the stadium and the 2 other things that you can cap to give yourself bonuses. So you're immediately fighting the Alliance as soon as you get to Outlands. And it continued through that entire X-Pack. You know, as we've gone forward, it has felt like they have pulled back from that. You know, they still do things like Wintergrass, they still do things like Tol Barad, but it doesn't feel like it's as present in the world as much as it once was. Which, again, from somebody who's been playing on an RP PvP server, it's kind of sad, because when you're out there roaming around and you get into these little fights, I mean, they're a blast, but everybody sits in their garrison now. It's a nice garrison, you know?
Oh, home.
Yeah, and you can't attack other people's garrisons. If you could attack other people's garrisons, I'd be fine with it.
That would be cool.
I think one of the things that always stands out to me, because I'm totally with you on that one, about having that fight a little bit more, sort of a little bit more present, because that's the thing. I just don't like where it is now. I'd like it to go one way or the other. And do you remember Wrathgate, back when Wrath was current content? And that big instant, you know, you obviously had Bolvar dying and the Forsaken kicking in, and you had the Siege of the Undercity. And that's what I'd like to see, a little bit more sort of, you have the quest and then you have a sort of PvP spin-off.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, you know, they need to bring back. I don't know why they got rid of that quest, whether it wasn't sort of in line with what they wanted story-wise, but it was there.
They got rid of the quest because the storyline was closed. We defeated the demon that was the reason for all of the turmoil to happen in Undercity. And Jaina basically cracked Varian upside the head and said, "This is their home, don't you dare touch Undercity."
Funny how things change, isn't it?
But the great thing about that quest, though, is the Wrathgate quest, is that you had the Alliance version and the Horde version, 2 distinctly separate versions, where as we're entering into Draenor, we're doing the exact same things all the way through. In fact, you run to the docks at the end of the beginning Tanan jungle, and Alliance makes a right, Horde makes a left. They don't tell you why. It's just like, oh, this is our exit. We'll take it.
Yeah.
All right, that way. He goes that way. Keep the line moving. Just.
Yeah.
Your character never gets lost. He doesn't take an accidental right and then goes, oh, whoops. I'm guessing with the Alliance now.
Now, in the future, can we see more like cross-faction content, like raids and dungeons, like we kind of talked about earlier? Is that?
I think they once said because I'm trying to remember if it was Kata or Early Miss that people were talking about that. About the potential for that, and they said it wouldn't make sense because you couldn't communicate. Like, it's still up in the air with now their mercenary mode and everything, because how are you going to communicate with your team?
Well, they have to send us all to secondary language school.
Well, because we all have the blocks. Like, if you guys remember in Wrath, you used to be able to communicate through emotes to the opposite faction, and now it just says you're doing like a bunch of gobbledygook, like
but aren't they allowing
you make
communication
strange hand motions?
But aren't they allowing communication to happen when you're in mercenary mode?
Yes, because you do change race.
Yeah, you change race completely, and so you could do that. For example, if you some sort of mercenary mode raid or mercenary mode dungeon or mercenary mode, let's hold hands and run around Outland. I don't know.
That's what I want.
But yeah, it's like.
Well, I mean, could we ever see? I mean, could we ever see that barrier just fall? Just like the races can talk to each other, and we can do raids together and quests together, and turn off world PvP because we're all just holding hands and throwing flowers and waving peace flags.
The amount of. Can I swear?
I think so, yeah, go on.
Okay, the amount of shit talking that was happening in just emotes, that's why they shut that off. And they cut that off. The amount of shit talking. The amount of shit talking you still get from doing /yells and putting in different codes that match up to like common, like your mom likes, or I see you nude, or you lose from Alliance coming to Horde, and if you type in 101 space 101, it says Zug Zug in common.
Okay.
I only know that because I have that macro.
You've cracked the Enigma code.
It's important to have.
Makes me wonder though, how different would the Siege of Orgrimmar ending have been if like Varian couldn't speak to Thrall? But like he comes over all menacing, sticks his sword down, and Thrall's like, "What's that jerk talking about?"
When he goes to stop him, and Thrall just looks at him and cracks him upside the head with his hammer. And then just a new fight breaks out.
Well, they've mentioned on the basis of language that they've mentioned in the books and whatnot, like if like Thrall speaks common fluently because he was raised by humans. Yep. But an example for like the one that would be completely at like what the hell is going on in that whole situation is Vol'jin. Because he speaks completely broken common. Like,
dingo.
Bits and pieces, and so he's like,
Vol'jin just comes over. We eat gnome. What did he mean to say that, or?
Yes.
And thus, Orgrimmar rebuilt itself based on a chain of restaurants.
They like the first restaurant is called Gnomeregan.
Oh man!
It's not even a pun. It's literally just. But yeah, no. I just it makes me wonder if we do, because obviously the argument that Blizzard have used for Mercenary mode is that it reduces queue time. So presumably that would apply to raiding. Dungeons probably not so much, because I think there's probably enough. You can get into dungeons relatively quickly, but certainly raid content.
They still have call to arms.
Oh, of course they do, yeah.
Yeah, for dungeons.
Yep.
So, and I think it applies still to LFR. So they've alleviated it that way. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know how it is for you guys, or even, like, for me on Ner'zhul Horde, a LFR queue time for a DPS is like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty similar in NA.
Yeah, 15 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's about what it is on Cenarian Circle Horde side.
Yeah. I don't know what it is in the EU. It says 2 minutes, and then you're still queuing 4 days later. And that's
Learn
a good
to
day.
count.
All right. Anything else on this discussion topic before we move on?
I guess
reason.
Yeah, I guess the reason though. One thing that pops to my head: if we got rid of factions, how would Chris Metzen be able to show which faction he loves more?
For the Blood Elves!
Because it wouldn't be factions, it'd be races.
Yeah.
And then we'd have all sorts of issues.
Yeah, people wouldn't just be factionists, then they would start being racist.
That's it.
If they really got rid of faction, it could potentially be the end of WoW. Like, it's different in, like, Guild Wars 2, where you don't have factions.
Right.
Right.
I think a third faction would be a better solution than no factions.
That works because they never started with factions. WoW started with factions. So.
They have to keep it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, they don't have to keep it. I mean, let's be honest. If the subs go down far enough.
Yeah, that's true. Blizzard could do anything at that point.
Ship's sinking, so let's have a party. I guess literally, like, for 2 minutes very quickly. Alternatively, could we see the introduction of new factions or like neutral factions? Do we think that's a possibility?
If you just give trolls the ability to be paladin, they can be every class and they can be their own thing.
You got the Horde, the Alliance, and the Trolls.
Because the trolls are like, you know what? We really want to bring back cannibalism, so we gotta leave the Horde.
So we've had the true Horde, we've now had the Iron Horde, and now we're going to have the fuzzy Horde. So, bless him.
No, like I do think a third, like, kind of neutral faction could make sense. I don't think it'll ever happen unless, you know, subs go under 5 million or something like that, which could be
Yeah,
very
because there's a
likely 'cause of the next
few
quarterly.
there's a few races that would make sense for wanting to be neutral.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Pandaren, the Tauren would,
Yes.
the Draenei probably would.
No, not the Tauren.
Oh, yes.
They would.
Some
Oh,
Tauren, not all of them. But it would obviously be like player choice. Like, you can have every race be in the third faction, or, you know, pick your Horde or Alliance kind of thing.
People have been wanting a third faction for like ever.
Yeah.
And Blizzard repeatedly said, no, screw you.
Nope. Because it would require a lot of changes,
A
a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if
They'd
they
have
wanted
to
to incorporate it in the whole leveling process and everything.
They'd have to redesign
Yeah.
the whole
Yep.
game.
Yep. Just World of Warcraft 2.
They'd have to have
Leroy's
another
patience.
cataclysm
Yeah.
to redesign the leveling process.
Okay.
Again.
Can we just pretend Kata never happened?
Yeah, like Deathwing like flies backwards over Azeroth and everything goes back to how it originally was. It'd be great.
That must be a video somewhere on YouTube. Just, I'm sure I've seen it actually. Backwards Kata trailer. How it's actually about a really friendly dragon who comes to save the world from burning.
And then he like flies back into a mountain and lets people beat on his shoulders. Poor guy.
Yay!
Poor guy.
All right, so moving on to the next topic of the show. It's time for the Prince's Gaze.
Welcome back, hero of the Alliance. How fares the battle along the coast? Suffering from amnesia, he fought for his life in Horde arenas. Let us see if your Alliance has what it takes to rule Azeroth. Your Horde finds itself at a turning point. This war will define you.
The Prince's Gaze.
Tom, fetch my things.
That's right, it's time for the Prince's Gaze, where we stare into Prince Anduin's eyes and he tells us who we should talk about.
Sweet, sweet nothings.
Yes, he tells us sweet, sweet. There you go.
And then he cries.
The Prince's Gaze, where we look into the community and find things that we like and we talk about them. And this week on the Prince's Gaze, well, we've got the community with us. We've got LoreCraft Podcast is the topic for today's show. So you guys take it away. Tell us all about your show. What makes your show different from every other WoW podcast?
Oh, wow.
Magic, you go first.
Well, we talk about lore. We talk about the story, which is, there's a lot of wonderful Warcraft podcasts out there right now. I listen to a bunch, but when I was developing this almost a year ago, at the end of August is when it started, there was very little when it came to lore or role play podcasts. And I was, first thing I'm thinking to myself is, man, somebody should really do that. And then the second thing was, oh, I should just do that, because I had started podcasting for something else about 4 months earlier. So that's kind of where it began, and it's grown a bit. We went through our previous co-host, Legrand, which every time I talk about it, I've got to talk about with him because he was my first co-host. We went through, ups and downs of trying to build it. I mean, there were weeks that we had like 6 listeners, and we built it up to what it is now. He had to leave. Yamino's joined in, and I can talk on and on about the podcast, but we don't have that much time. So it's just, it's a for me, and I would venture to guess Yamino, it's about the lore, it's about the story, it's about what goes into making the game that isn't just mechanics, makes you care about the characters, makes you want to kill other characters, makes you want to... Right? I mean...
Most important thing.
Well,
right
yeah,
there.
That's it.
It's
It is
like,
Warcraft.
why are we fighting this? Why are we killing this? Why are we doing this? You need a purpose.
Yeah.
Loot.
But yeah, as Magic mentioned, I came in pretty late in the game. I've only been a co-host for, what is it now, 2 2 months almost.
Yeah, I think it's about 2 months now.
Yeah. I came on and I was talking about, well, the story is I came on to the show by doing a guest application after somebody told me about the LoreCraft podcast, and I was like, oh my god, lore. And they said to me, like I said to them, I gave 2 topics. One was we can discuss the history of the Blood Elves, or we can do the Burning Legion. Pick one. And I provided a TLDR version of each, but the email was still like 3 pages long. And I came on, did a show about Blood Elves, and told Legren and Machik that if they wanted to have me on again, just yak at me, or I could come on as a permanent co-host, and I worked out with work and came on as a co-host. So, and yeah, I've always been interested in the story. I've read every single book, every single comic, every single short story, and I have spent a total of 156 hours on Wikipedia. Like, Wowpedia.
Wow.
If you look at my Twitter, my pinned tweet is a compliment from Sean Copeland when he was still on Twitter. Saying the lore is strong with this one. Lead historian of Blizzard Entertainment. And I'm like, I bow to you, sir.
Awesome.
I think that's what they need. I think Blizzard will get to a point where they're like, what is this again? They'll need to turn to the community. You actually remember what's actually going on. I guess, sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, what in terms of lore then, what stands out in both your minds as, like, I don't know, your favourite piece of lore, if you could say it, really? There's probably quite a few, but if there's one story or one character that really sort of stands out in your head, what would it be?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, there are so many good stories out there. You know, I would say if we're talking about because I'm going to talk about the game, because that's, you know, that's what we play. If we're talking about the game, one of the best storylines and best implemented storylines was the Lich King.
Agreed.
By far. That X-Pack, when you started to the end, it was consistent, it was strong, it made you want to fight these big, bad, powerful beings on a consistent basis. Like, yeah, you know, it was a long X-Pack, but I never felt like I didn't want to play. I never, because the story always, and leveling alts, I always got to, you know, because you see the Lich King in a billion quests as you're leveling up.
That's it.
And you know, it just draws you in. I wish we could have another X-Pack like that. I was hoping WOD was going to be like that.
I think a lot of people were.
Like,
and it's
not to get Warlords wrong, though. There is some pretty epic storylines with cinematics attached to them. Oh my god, feels. But
yeah.
But it's just it's not consistent. It's not. You know. Let me ask you a question. Anybody seen Jaina lately?
Right. I'm 100% with you on that. Yeah.
You know, some of the warlords, their stories, I don't feel their stories were developed.
It's
enough.
like it's like we go in, we kill them, and that's it. Like, we didn't really. They did the whole Lords of War thingy, and it was like, okay, so these guys are supposed to be epic badasses.
Yeah.
What gives?
Yeah.
Like, Kargath was a joke in raid mechanics.
Or even this. So the final boss is Archimon. How many times did we deal with Archimon in the leveling up process or anything up until being the final boss?
We did that.
Never.
He just appears at the last minute. Ta-da! I'm here, guys.
Yeah, I do agree. Warlords was like very, very inconsistent with its whole storytelling process.
I think, though, that what you just mentioned, Machik, about the fact that you always saw the Lich King there, that's something that I've talked about in the past, about how I couldn't keep track of what was happening with Grom. you kind of just saw him intermittently. Like, I can see they tried to do some things they did with Wrath, like have those flashbacks, like when you were in Wrath and you saw flashbacks of Arthur's through his transition. But that it got a bit muddled. And as well, I didn't really feel like Garish's story was really taken as far as it could have gone, potentially.
Right. Yeah.
And that's something that I felt disappointed, because obviously the way Garish ends up, not trying to spoil it, you just think, well, you know, think about...
I think we're far enough into the X-Men.
Yeah, that's true. If you haven't done it by now, then fair enough. But that's the thing, you know, he dies, and he was the one who built up this horde. He'd gone back in time. You had that interaction with his father, building the horde he never could build, trying to be the warrior he never could be, and you know, Thrall turns up and kicks his ass, and you just think, oh well, you know, that could have happened an expansion ago. But because the development never made itself worthwhile. I didn't see what Grom had done that made it worth keeping him alive at the end of Siege.
Yep.
Other than war crimes potentially.
Yeah.
And I do agree with Machik on like Arthas and whatnot, because with Lich King, like I remember I started literally a month and a half before Wrath came out, so I leveled up mostly through Wrath, pretty much, and the whole time leveling in Northrend, I would like proverbially crap myself if I saw the Lich King just come out of nowhere.
Oh no!
Voice of, oh my god, Arthas, stop smoking all those cigarettes. And it was just, there were instances where I was like, oh god, why? Why are you here? Go away. I don't want to fight you. Not yet. I'm weak and pathetic. But, character-wise, like, that whole storyline is amazing. But lore-wise and character-wise, and I harp this on our own podcast all the time, I am a huge Vol'jin fan.
Yes, another one. I love Vol'jin.
They're growing.
Yeah.
But his story's been dead this X-Pack too.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They're like, you're our new war chief. And then we never like see him until just recently when he shows up in your garrison and he's like, build a shipyard.
Build a shipyard, yes.
What?
Yeah.
I think
busy with Ogrimmar,
I think all of the faction leaders need to have roles in each expansion pack. We need to know what they're doing, because otherwise it's just, why do we even have faction leaders? Why do we have leaders at all? Because all we do is focus on the bad guy, and we're a bunch of individuals running around doing whatever we want.
Yeah.
They need to keep all the leaders have something they're doing in each expansion pack, so we know what's going on, and because then when you move to a new expansion pack, we aren't just abandoning what happened, because their stories are what connect everything.
Yeah, with Varian, like, I understand him being in like Warlords and being with us and everything. Yeah, he has a city to watch over, but I can understand that. With Vol'jin, however, he's in the precarious situation where essentially he is rebuilding Orgrimmar because Orgrimmar just got sacked. And they are getting rid of all the crap that Garrosh had in. They're keeping like all the metal and crap like that. Like, yay, Fortress. I miss old Org. But, there was experimentation and everything that was going on during Siege.
Is he trying to desegregate Orgrimmar now?
Yeah, he's trying to clean up Garrosh's mess. If you actually, in-game, if you go down into the Cleft of Shadow, from the drag, you'll see a little plaque. Like, where you would take the path in Siege into the Cleft of Shadow, you'll see a little plaque that's in memoriam of the people that lost their lives in Siege of Orgrimmar.
Oh. I have not noticed that, because I don't pay attention to anything when I run around, apparently.
So disrespectful.
Well, what do you guys have planned for the future of your show?
Oh, well, I will tell you this. At the end of August, we're kind of doing a revamp on things because we've grown a bit, and hopefully going to expand a bit with not only the podcast, but including lore things on the website as well. So now that we're kind of solid and stable, the goal is to kind of expand and grow it a bit more, and hopefully try and bring more lore to more people.
Awesome. Especially us, because we know nothing. We tried. We tried lore, and that went well.
And how can people find your show? What is the best way to be able to find your show on the internet?
Well, if you've never listened to anything by us before, my suggestion would be go to theLoreCraft.com. That's the website. We all of our podcasts are up there from episode 1, and you can find a bunch of information there. The other ways are our Twitter accounts, which we have at the LoreCraft. You'll find the LoreCraft is kind of a theme through everything here. And then mine is at Machik ED, and Yamino's is at Yamino here.
And that is at YAMINOHERE.
Yeah. And of course, we're on iTunes and Stitcher and all the other good things. So, if you already listen to podcasts, then it's very easy to find us. But yeah, the website, if you're just starting out, never seen us before, never heard us before, is jump over there. Or wait a month when I do the complete new revamp and see all new stuff. But yeah, that's the best way. Oh, and then we're on Twitch. Though our Twitch channel is changing, and that's happening within the week. We're going to be twitch.tv/theLoreCraft. So.
Okay. When do you record your shows live if you wanted to watch live?
We are on Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern Time in the U.S. And then we release it usually the next day or the day after.
Okay, cool. All right, so the final segment of the show is, and I'll just, like I did last week, I'll say it with the sounder. It's Heroes Call! Yes. Where we give shout-outs to anybody in the community, anybody that we want to, basically. Hi, Mom.
We've told you before, she doesn't listen to the show.
I know. No, I'd love to give a shout-out to our guests, of course.
Yes.
Thank you guys both for joining us. Very happy to have you. Always welcome back on the show anytime.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
What about other shout-outs, guys?
Go on, Zul.
All right. I actually have a shout out to someone that the LoreCraft had on their show on the troll episode I started listening to. It was Rosik, right?
Yep, it's Rosik.
Rosik. Okay, yeah. Shout out to them, because listening to that episode and them talk about trolls, and specifically talking about troll druids, is what got me really excited to jump back onto that character and finally get another level 100 this week.
Nice.
Yay!
Nice.
Yay.
And I guess I will thank, obviously, all the wonderful people listening, including Tarley's mum.
Shout out to Tarley's mom, yeah.
Shout out to Tarley's mum again. So, there we go.
What? As Brit almost drops his mic.
Yeah, I just stumbled over my own while sitting down. That's got to be an Olympic achievement. Like, best Darwin Award ever. And it's on camera, so it's fantastic.
What about you guys? Do you guys have any shout-outs that you want to give while you're on the show?
Yeah, actually, I've got one. Currently my co-guild leader is helping run several storylines in our guild right now, and he has put a ton of effort into it. And just wanted to thank him. That's Vargrok on the Emerald Dream server, and we are building up pretty much a storyline that is going to be going into Draenor and back, so it's going to be a bit crazy.
Wow. I guess as well, while we're on that topic, where can people catch you if they wanted to sort of catch up in game?
Oh, well, that's actually much easier than one thinks. If you check out my my personal Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/MachikED, you'll find my Battle.net there, and you can easily just message me via that. But I play usually Emerald Dream or Moonguard servers. Yamino?
You'll see me on Ner'zhul, Tortheldrin, Velen, or Moonguard.
Got all the bases covered there.
Tortheldrin's almost full. Moonguard's only got 3 people, and Velen's only got 2. But as for Battle Tag, I have that information available on my Twitch as well. So twitch.tv/Yamino here.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in to the show. As always, you can find our show on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and Twitch. You can catch us on Twitter at Geeks of Azeroth. You can find me personally at Tarley_pause. Zool, where can we find you?
You can find me at ZoolGeek.
And Britza, what about you?
At Britza_EG.
And of course, our friends at the LoreCraft Podcast, they already listed all the way like 3 minutes ago, all of their stuff. So if you missed
Back
it,
in the past,
rewind 3 minutes ago for all.
It's almost worth a WoW expansion, isn't it?
Again, like to thank you guys for joining us. And if you have any questions, concerns, hate mail for our guests that we had this week, or anything else you'd like to send us, send that over to geeksofazerotheg@gmail.com. We'll be happy to answer all the hate mail that you send, or fan mail, or whatever. And remember to check us out at www.epicgeeks.co.uk for all the other shows that we do. There's been a lot more stuff going on with Wildstar up on there, so definitely worth checking out. Otherwise, everyone have a great week in Azeroth. We'll see you same place, same time next week. Bye.